I would be happy to. So we are, obviously we're holding this meeting virtually. It is being streamed to YouTube. We have options for members of the public or other attendees to interact with the committee using the Q&A function at the bottom. Panelists, everybody on the screen here can also use the chat to share information as the meeting proceeds. We are right now continuing to use the virtual platform until we have information that leads us to another direction. So that's the statement. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Janice, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Let's see. Town of Ashland, Miss Amos.
Here.
Charles City County, Miss Russell. Mr. Mitchell. Chesterfield County, Miss Smith. Miss Walker.
Here.
Goochland County, Mr. Goyne.
Here.
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Hanover County, Mr. Vadunez. Mr. Flagg. Henrico County, Vice Chair Smidler.
Here.
Mr. Yor. New Kent County, Chair LeDuc.
Here.
Powhatan County, Mr. Shardine. City of Richmond, Miss Clark.
Here.
Mr. Bridewell.
Here.
Thank you. Capital Region Airport Commission, Mr. Rutledge. DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky.
Here.
Mr. Wagner.
Here.
GRTC, Ms. Sink. Ms. Robinson.
Here.
Plan RVA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Mr. Ariel.
Here.
Ride Finders, Mr. O'Keefe.
I'm here.
RMTA, Ms. Simmons. VDOT, Ms. McAdory. Ms. Mueller.
Here.
Thank you. I failed to call Ms. Tisdale from Ride Finders, but I don't believe she's with us. And that concludes the roll call for attendance. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Yesterday afternoon, Chet sent out an updated agenda. I don't believe we have to take action on that, or do we?
I don't think we do have to take action. I did want to bring it to everybody's attention that there have been a couple changes since the agenda was originally published. And let me share the screen for those at home. So if you see item 7, there were 2 amendments that were requested last Friday to the Connect RVA 2045 plan. So we're expecting to address those under item 7. And then item number 8, we added to signify the transition into the next fiscal year, the election of FY23 TAC chair and vice chair. And that's the change in the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Chet. Next, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the May 10th meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion?
John O'Keefe, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you, John. Is there a second?
This is Tiffany. I'll second.
Okay, thank you, guys. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstain? All right, thank you. Any open public comment period, Chet?
No, we've not received any requests or I don't believe there's anyone online with us either.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I don't have a chairman's report, so we'll move on to, it says item 3, but I'm going to go on to 5. RRTPO update.
Yes, I wanted to bring your attention first to the current work efforts, starting on page 12 of your agenda packet, related to active transportation work group and the Ashland Trolley Line Trail Study. We continue to work with National Park Service on the trolley line and are starting to develop additional materials that can be shared about the history of the trolley line, and putting together a design sketchbook for use as the trolley line is discussed, and especially as the fall line continues to develop, to keep the trolley line as part of that conversation. There's a lot happening with the Central Virginia Transportation Authority, and we continue to work towards identifying the best ways to fund regionally significant transportation projects, in addition to local priorities and regional transit. The next meeting of the CVTA Authority is on Friday at 11 a.m. Note the time change. And that should be a very interesting meeting if anyone is able to tune in or attend in person here at Plan RVA. Other things are moving forward. Yeah, I think that's a good summary of the current work efforts. The CTAC update is included for your information on page 16, and the Community Transportation Advisory Committee continues to have great informative meetings. We are recording all of those to our YouTube channel, so if you wanted to go back, we probably have a year's worth of great speakers now over the course of the meetings that CTAC has been holding on various topics throughout the region that are significant and informative for the work that we all do. We have item 3C. There isn't anything to share in the agenda, but we have established our 2050 socioeconomic data work group. So I believe most of you have been contacted by SULAB for inclusion in that group, and I believe that we have responses from every jurisdiction right now. So thank you for that. The schedule for when that work group is going to start meeting is being put together now. And SULAB, you're here. Is there anything else that we need to share regarding the work group at this point?
I think you covered it. So we have established a group. We got representatives from all the localities, as well as DRPT, GRTC, and VDOT, both district as well as TMPD. And we have the Tri-Cities MPO representative as well. So the first meeting is expected to be around maybe the week of July 10th. That's what I'm expecting. So once we have the kickoff meeting, we'll be going from there. That's it.
And we'll send out a save the date as soon as possible, so
Right.
that everybody can get that on their calendar. Okay, thanks, Sulab. I think that's it, Kelly, for the TPO update.
Okay, thank you, guys. I don't see Miles. Oh yeah, there you are. Okay, you got the next 3 items, Miles, so take it away. Smart Scale Round 5.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This first item is the Smart Scale Round 5 TPO applications. So quick update on the process. We were able to submit 12 pre-apps. 11 of our projects were screened in. We did have 1 project screened out this year. That was the Bond Road overpass. Just a little context on that. In round 4, it was screened in, but only on UDA needs. As the MPO, we can only submit for the corridors of statewide significance or the regional network, and no need was identified on those networks. So that project did wind up screened out. The purpose of today's agenda item is to narrow the list down from the 12 to 10. In your agenda packets, there's an attachment which has a summary of each of the projects, the last known estimate, any leveraging funds that we're aware of, and our previous smart scale scores if it's been a previous submittal. So one item we did want to bring to your attention for just a general policy discussion and consideration is the Powhite Parkway extension, which is included in our pre-applications. This project was not on the original approved pre-app list. So we had the 12 projects that were approved by TAC and the policy board. One of those projects, the 360 Courthouse Road intersection improvement, wound up getting selected for revenue sharing partway through the pre-app window. So we needed to find a replacement. There were no other prioritized projects from the TAC at that point. Everything else had already been selected by Plan RVA. So we're submitting an additional 4 regional apps through Plan RVA. And Chesterfield requested to swap this out. So we allowed them to swap it out for the pre-app with the understanding that TAC and the policy board will have the ultimate discussion and decision on that process. Staff did do a preliminary review of the project. It does meet all of the criteria that we use to select projects. It is regional in nature. It's included in our constrained long-range plan, and it does have significant leveraged funding from the locality. So it does check all the boxes that we were looking for when putting together our original list for pre-apps. So the staff recommendation would be to go ahead and include the Poet Parkway extension so that we can fill that spot. And then in terms of removing projects, we have the Vaughn Road overpass, which was screened out. And then the 288 southbound auxiliary lane in Goochland. That project is fully funded in the CVTA scenarios, which will be reaffirmed on Friday. So the vote's already gone through, I guess, but this is a reaffirmation. So we'll have that confirmation on Friday, but that is, looks like that one's going to be fully funded and wouldn't need smart scale funding. The second part of the motion that we have is that staff is recommending that the TPO coordinate with DRPT and the town of Ashland to submit the overpass for a new federal grant program, which is the Railroad Crossing Elimination Grant. We included the little one-page fact sheet in the agenda packet, but essentially this is dedicated funding pretty much exclusively for grade separation or other crossing improvements. So this is a great match. And in some preliminary discussions with DRPT staff, this was felt this would be a good fit for this project. So the requested action today is that is a recommendation to the TPO that the TPO selects the following 10 projects. The I-95 Route 10 interchange improvement phase 2, 288, 360, 360 at Brad near CGT, Poet Parkway extension, 288 continuous hard shoulder running southbound, West Broad intersection improvements at Parham, 9 Mile Road improvements, Williamsburg Road improvements, the I-64 gap, exits 205 to 211, Fall Line Trail Commerce Road phase 2, and Broad Street streetscape with Pulse expansion phase 3. And then again, that the TPO directs staff to coordinate with DRPT and the town of Ashland to submit the overpass for the federal railroad crossing elimination grant program. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Miles. Any questions for Miles? Anybody have a hand up? I can't see everybody.
So this is Nora Nicole, or Kelly, sorry.
Hi.
Hi. For the other smaller localities that may not be as intimately familiar with smart scale as we probably should be, I'm just going to let you know what happened to our Ashland project. I was very, very disappointed to find this out. In the beginning, we were very excited that the region offered to apply for smart scale for the Vaughn Road overpass. We were very thankful for their assistance and support. But from my understanding, and Miles or anyone fill in if I'm understanding this incorrectly, when it's a regional project, you have to meet a regional VTrans need, as opposed to if it's a local project, you can meet a local VTrans need, like urban development area, which is what we applied for through last time. And so because the region applied and the locality didn't, we screened out. So we can no longer move forward in the smart scale process. Whereas if I would have applied as a locality, we would have screened in and would have been able to go through scoring. And so I'm very, very thankful to the regional staff for trying to find an alternative funding option, but it would have been great if we could have this alternate funding option and smart scale for this large yet significant project for us. And so that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Any other questions or comments for Miles?
This is Diana. I do have one quick question.
Okay,
For the Highway Parkway extension, it was screened in Smart Scale pre-app process?
Yes, so what we did was we swapped it out in the pre-apps. We allowed Chesterfield to put in the information for that project in place of the one that was already funded. So it did get screened in through the pre-screening, and we can move it forward for a full application.
And that was like through the process where we were talking about I think it was Chesterfield and Henrico looking for projects that they could swap out. Right?
So this was after that. So we'd had those conversations, and actually the Plan RVA wound up picking those up. So the PDC is applying for 4 final projects as well as the TPO. And then we didn't have any additional projects. So this was another one that kind of came through that same process of it got funded already. So what do we need to swap in? And we didn't have a prioritized list from TAC beyond the 17 that we'd already submitted for pre-applications regionally.
Okay, thanks.
okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, hearing none, would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure. I make a motion that the Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization select the following 10 projects for the Smart Scale Round 5. The 10 miles had read off. I won't go through them all right now. And be it further resolved that the RRTPO directs staff to coordinate with the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation and the town of Ashland to submit the Vaughn Overpass for federal railroad crossing elimination grant funding.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Is there a second?
This is Tressa. I second.
Okay, thank you, Tessa. Would you call the roll, please, Janice?
You're muted.
Sorry about that. Let's try again. Miss Amos.
Aye.
Thank you. Miss Walker.
Aye.
Mr. Goyne.
Aye.
Vice Chair Smidler.
Aye.
Chair LeDuc.
Aye.
Miss Clark.
Aye.
Miss Dubinsky.
Aye.
Miss Robinson.
Aye.
Mr. Parsons.
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe.
Aye.
And Miss Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
All right, thank you, everybody. Moving on to the next smart scale item, Miles. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. This item is a little more straightforward. This is the project endorsements for locality and agency projects. So just as a quick overview, the Smart Scale process requires an MPO endorsement or approval of certain types of projects to ensure there's consistency with our regional planning through the LRTP. So essentially any project that's not included in or consistent with our constrained long-range plan requires a specific endorsement from the MPO, as well as any project that's on the corridors of statewide significance. Again, since those larger corridors are kind of the planning focus of the LRTP. So for the project list, staff received a list of all the pre-applications in the region from VDOT, and we use those to prepare the endorsement resolution. This is, again, all of them. So if you had 12 pre-apps, we have all 12 listed for you right now. If you had 5, we have all 5. We are requesting that the sponsors email us to let us know which ones aren't moving forward so we can take them out before this goes to the policy board. But all 12 or 5 are listed for each locality in the attachment that's in your staff report. And staff also took a preliminary evaluation to look at the corridors of statewide significance or the constrained long-range plan consistency to determine which would actually require a resolution of endorsement and which ones wouldn't. For the most part, the projects are largely consistent with the long-range plan. There were a handful of cases where staff couldn't determine just from the project description. We didn't have enough information and we weren't familiar with the project enough at this point. But there were only a handful that fell in that category. And we were able to identify the most likely constrained long-range plan project ID for those as well. So the endorsement resolution, we've taken the same approach we've used in previous rounds where we've just included everything. So it's a blanket resolution to cover all our bases and just make sure that nothing gets screened out accidentally due to interpretations of the constrained long-range plan and consistency requirements. There were a handful of projects which are noted in the attachment, which aren't consistent with the constrained long-range plan, but they're consistent generally with our planning. So a couple examples, one of the projects from Chesterfield County is in the vision list and not in the constrained long-range plan. So financially, it wasn't in the constrained plan, but it was one that we were aware of. We've already scored and evaluated. There was another project that was a fall line segment in the city of Richmond, which wasn't in the constrained plan. And that's just because the corridor has shifted slightly. So it's consistent with our intent of getting the fall line in, but it wasn't one of the specific projects we had identified. So we did include all of those projects in your resolution of endorsement. Since they are not in the constrained long-range plan, if funding does get awarded, this is essentially committing the MPO to revising the constrained long-range plan in the future. So the action we're requesting today is basically three clauses to it. It's essentially whereas all smart scale projects that are not included or consistent with the constrained long-range plan require resolution of support, whereas all applications addressing needs on the corridors of statewide significance require resolution of support. Resolve that the RRTPO Policy Board supports submission of the following locality and transit agency projects for Smart Scale Round 5. And the full list will be inserted. It's in your staff reports. Again, we are asking for emails by next Friday to remove any of the projects that you know are not going to be moving forward in the application process. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Miles. Anybody have any questions for Miles?
Madam Chair, I have a question. This is
Okay.
Sharon. Miles, so the PDC applications, so there are 4 PDC applications going forward. How, is that separate than this TPO approval, or how are we making sure those are endorsed or consistent with the CLRP?
So this is Chet. We'll be working with the Plan RVA Commission directly as staff, following the same process, but taking their guidance on moving things forward. We have been in discussion with the executive director and are planning to have everything meet the deadlines that it needs to meet, so that those 4 projects are approved and can be moved forward and endorsed by the commission itself.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I'm back.
We're wondering what happened to you, Miles. I think Chet answered the question that Sharon had. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. I don't see the motion on the screen anymore, but would someone like to take a stab at it? There it is.
All right, this is Sharon Smidler with Henrico. I make a motion that all smart scale projects within the MPO area not included in or consistent with a constrained long range plan require resolution of support from the RRTPO Policy Board, and all smart scale applications addressing needs on corridors of statewide significance also require resolution of support from the RRTPO Policy Board. And that the RRTPO Policy Board supports submission of the following locality and transit agency projects in the NPO study area for Smart Scale Round 5. And those are listed in our agenda.
Thank you, Sharon. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, Dirana, second.
Thanks, Dirona. Janice, will you take a roll vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Amos,
Aye.
Miss Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Goin,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smidler,
Aye.
Chair LeDuc,
Aye.
Miss Clark,
Aye.
Miss Dubinsky,
Aye.
Miss Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
Miss Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries as well.
All right, thanks, everybody. And the FY 21-24 TIP amendment. Miles, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Sure. Thank you again. So this one is just an informational item today. We are not requesting action on the TIP amendment request yet. So just a quick background, Chesterfield has found significant a portion of the funding for the Poet Parkway extension, which we were just discussing as part of the Smart Scale applications. And the county is moving that project forward already, started PE, and plans to submit for Smart Scale or federal grant funding to fill the deficit. But at this point, the county is requesting to add the project to the TIP and the STIP, since it is locally funded and moving forward currently. As you know, TIP amendments require a process. We have to demonstrate that this is compliant with our conformity analysis. So we have to go through the conformity again if we need to. There's a constraint demonstration, so making sure that we can actually fund the project based on the estimates. There's the TAC review, a public review, and the policy board approval. The distinction here is generally the projects in the TIP are those that have federal obligations. So there's some sort of federal money on them. Right now, this project only has local dollars. However, the regulations also require that the TIP include any regional significant project. So it's for air quality and informational purposes, we have to include the project even if it doesn't have the federal dollars. And then again, it must be constrained. So there has to be a reasonable expectation that there would be funding to complete this project. We've had some initial discussions with federal highways, and they've reiterated that this does apply to CVTA or locally funded projects. So we're working with VDOT to move this forward. We've talked, Chesterfield has brought us into conversations with VDOT Environmental Division. The preliminary assessment is this project may not require a new conformity analysis. It's already in our long-range plan, so we wouldn't have to go back through the full consultation process and public review, that we could move forward based on the fact that it's already in our project list. VDOT coordination is ongoing right now. So the TIP and the STIP are required to be amended together. It has to be a coordinated process. We are actually meeting this afternoon with central office to talk through the process. This has been relatively rare in our region. We haven't had a lot of these locally funded projects that need to go into the TIP. So we're working through that. But the good thing is this will actually work out as a model for future CVTA funded projects as well. So we're drawing on the experiences in Hampton Roads and Northern Virginia as we work through this. But our expectation is that we'll be able to bring this back to you next month for an actual review and recommendation to the policy board. So that's just an informational item. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I am glad to defer any project specific questions to Chesterfield County. But this is where we are right now. And we just wanted to give you a heads up and let you know this would be coming before you next month.
Okay, thank you, Miles. Any questions for Miles or Chessa? Okay, don't see any. Okay, moving on. Okay, we'll go to Mr. Parsons, Connect RVA 2045 amendments, the new agenda item.
There's a mute. Thank you very much. As you all know, Connect RVA 2045 is a dynamic document. It's a plan for looking out into the long-range future of the region. One of the things that we are excited about is that the plan can be updated from time to time. And when new needs are identified, when projects are completed, they can be removed from the plan. We are now at a point where we have some opportunities to recognize some newly identified needs and add those to the long-range transportation plan. If you remember back a year ago when the plan was adopted in October, there are two main components of the plan, a vision list and a fiscally constrained list. The uniqueness of the long-range plan in our region is that we have to have a budget for our future horizon year. And the projects that are in our fiscally constrained plan have to meet that budget. Any project that has been identified and not prioritized through the scoring and ranking process can still be in the plan and contained in the vision plan. So today we have two requests, and I think we could take those up separately for addition of projects to the Connect RVA 2045 plan. The first is a request from the city of Richmond, and I've shared it on the screen, to add the Reconnect Jackson Ward project to the long-range transportation plan. And just some history, Jackson Ward, if you're not familiar with the region, has played an important role in the history of Black Richmonders and Richmond City as a whole. It was once an economic and social hub for the entire region. I'll say probably the East Coast in some cases. And when the Richmond-Petersburg Turnpike was constructed, it disconnected Jackson Ward from, it dissected it and then disconnected it from the surrounding community. So in Richmond 300, the Guide for Growth, which is the city's comprehensive plan, it identifies a strategy to explore capping highways to reestablish connections between disconnected areas, focusing first on the Downtown Expressway and I-95, I-64 at Jackson Ward. So the comprehensive plan identifies the project to reconnect Jackson Ward by decking over the highway as one of its big efforts, big moves to implement the master plan. Right now, the city is working in collaboration with VOIP, the Virginia Office of Intermodal Planning and Investment, and VDOT to conduct a community-driven process to develop and evaluate feasible options to make this project a reality. And the feasibility study, you've probably seen the notices about it, is set to conclude in July of this year. We'll identify a preliminary concept and cost estimate to provide for that new connection between Chamberlain Parkway and First Street. The city is seeking outside funds through IIJA opportunities, the Reconnecting Communities pilot program. And they have asked for the project to be included in the long-range plan to be more competitive when seeking those outside funds for construction, and have sent the request, as I said, for the TPO to consider including this in the plan. So in terms of the impacts on the long-range plan, there are a couple different things that we need to consider as a TPO when we think about changes to the long-range plan. For this project, it's still early in the development process. And as I mentioned, the feasibility study is due to be wrapping up soon. The scope of and scale of the concept is regional in nature and has the potential to be a major improvement to travel safety, connecting displaced neighborhoods, providing improved accessibility, and directly addressing existing inequities in the region. And based on staff review of the request, the project fits well with the vision, goals, and objectives that were identified through the Connect RVA 2045 process, and would be a worthy addition to the long-range transportation plan. At this point, the project does not have committed funding, but the potential of winning federal dollars would benefit from the project being included in Connect RVA 2045. So at this time, staff would recommend inclusion of the Reconnect Jackson Ward project in the vision plan of Connect RVA 2045. which would still position the city to be competitive in the Reconnecting Communities program, as well as any other grant sources that might be available. Because it would be placing it in the vision plan, it would not require any additional action or analysis on the part of staff. It would not trigger air quality conformity review and would retain the current priority ranking of the fiscally constrained component of the long-range plan. So the action requested of TAC for consideration is to recommend to the policy board that the Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization amends the Connect RVA 2045 plan to include the Reconnect Jackson Ward project in its vision plan. And be it also resolved that the RRTPO Technical Advisory Committee open a 15-day public review period for this potential amendment from June 16th until July 1st. And that the second part of the action would position the project for consideration by the full TPO policy board at its next meeting, which I believe is July 7th. Madam Chair, that's the first request. I'd be happy to take any questions. And I know Ms. Clark is eager to talk about this project as well from the city.
Great. Go ahead there, Rona.
Yeah, Chet, thank you so much. Chet did really include a lot of what I wanted to explain as far as the importance of the project. We're very excited to have been working with OIP and VDOT on the feasibility study. And as we prepare for the NOFO to come out, we really needed to get this on the long-range transportation plan, as it would really position the city to have a better opportunity for funding opportunities. And one of the things that we liked about the long-range transportation plan process was the ability to add additional projects. I think was one of the key things that I know the city stressed, and I'm happy that this process is available in order to add the project. So again, today I just asked for tax consideration and recommendation to include the Reconnect Jackson Ward project in the long-range transportation plan.
Okay, thank you both. Does anybody have any questions? Kind of sounded like Darona made a motion, but I'll ask again.
Yeah, I can so move that that the TAC recommends the resolution for consideration recommendation to the policy board, the inclusion of the Reconnect Jackson Ward project into the long range transportation plan vision plan, and that the public comment period be opened for this through June 16th through July 1st.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Austin with a second.
Okay, thank you, Austin. Should we do a roll call vote for this one?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead, Janice.
All right. Let's see. Miss Amos,
Aye.
Miss Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Goyne,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smidler,
Aye.
Chair LeDuc,
Aye.
Miss Clark,
Aye.
Miss Dubinsky,
Aye.
Miss Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
Miss Mueller.
Aye.
We also now have Mr. Vadunez with us. Mr. Vadunez, I know that you were present for, I just moved you over as panelist, but I believe you were present for that discussion. I don't know if you wanted to vote on that or abstain.
I did come into the middle of the discussion. I'll vote it in favor. I'm familiar with the item.
All right, thank you. Madam Chair, that motion carries.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Go ahead with the next one, Chet, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Thank you very much. And I failed to mention the request letter from the city as well as this next item, are included in the agenda packet, if anyone wanted to reference those. So this next item is a similar request about addition of a project in the Connect RVA 2045 Long Range Plan. This is a request from VDOT for consideration of the Interstate 64 widening project from exit 211 to the James City County line. And the request is to be considered for inclusion in the Richmond Region's constrained long-range transportation plan. The letter in the packet is from Commissioner Britch, and the request was made that the TPO amend the long-range plan to include construction of the I-64 capacity expansion between exit 211 and the edge of the metropolitan area, which is the James City County line. And that action take place prior to the 2045 horizon year. For background, recently the I-64 corridor received dedicated appropriations as part of the proposed state budget. And over the 20-year horizon of the constrained long-range plan, it is reasonable to anticipate funding will be provided to implement this project. And this was language from VDOT. VDOT is providing the TPO with a detailed project description and financial information necessary to fulfill the needs to amend the constrained long-range plan. And funding has been identified, as mentioned, from previously unidentified money. So that will not impact the existing constraint of the plan. This is additional new money that could be added, totaling up to $470 million. And the expectation is that this fund will be augmented from a mix of federal grant money and other resources, including CTV directed funds. So looking at the impacts to the long range plan, this project has been identified as a priority regional project. Right now, exit 205 to 211 is included in the long range plan, and the project estimate at the time last October when the plan was adopted was too high to consider extending that length of the project. So that's why this new request was not included previously. It does fit well with the regional vision goals and objectives of the long range plan and would be a worthy addition. It has been identified as a priority by the Youngkin administration and has received commitments for $470 million in state funds. The remaining needed funding for the TPO section of the project is estimated by VDOT to be roughly $70 million. And the administration has communicated with staff that it is confident that the full amount of funding will be identified and committed over the life of this long-range plan. So between now and 2045. So the staff recommendation is that the I-64 widening project from exit 211 to the James City County line be included in the constrained plan of Connect RVA 2045. This action would position the project to begin engineering right-of-way construction process and compete for additional federal funding from the IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. It would not require an air quality conformity review due to its location in New Kent County, and it would retain the current priority ranking of the fiscally constrained long-range transportation plan due to the funding commitments from outside sources, including the state budget, Commonwealth Transportation Board, and federal partners. The requested action of TAC is to recommend to the TPO Policy Board that the RRTPO consider amendment of the Connect RVA 2045 plan to include the I-64 widening project from exit 211 to the James City County line in the constrained plan, and also resolve that the TPO Technical Advisory Committee open a 15-day public review period for this potential amendment from June 16th until July 1st of 2022. And Madam Chair, one other note that I failed to mention, if you recall the requested action extending all the way to the James City County line, if people don't remember, our urban area for the MPO was expanded this past fall, I believe October 15th, to include the entirety of the Plan RVA footprint. So all of New Kent, Charles City, Goochland, and Powhatan counties are now part of the metropolitan planning area for the TPO. That's why we can go all the way out to the edge of New Kent County. Be happy to take any questions. I believe Ms. Mueller is here. If there are any other questions directly to VDOT. Thank you.
Thank you, Chet. Any questions for Nicole or Chet? I would make a motion if I could, but I don't think I can because I'm the chair. So would someone like to make a motion, please?
This is Austin. I'll make the motion that the TAC recommends approval to the full policy board for the I-64 project being included in the long-range transportation plan.
Thank you, Austin. Is there a second?
This is Nora, second.
Okay. Thank you, Nora. We take a roll call vote, please, Janice.
Madam Chair,
Ma'am.
just
Oh, sorry.
quickly,
I forgot to ask for questions.
can we just confirm, Mr. Goin, is the motion to follow the requested action in the agenda?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you. Ms. Amos,
Aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Goin,
Aye.
Mr. Vadunez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smidler,
Aye.
Chair LaDuke,
Aye.
Ms. Clark,
Aye.
Ms. Dubinsky,
Aye.
Ms. Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
Ms. Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That motion carries.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chet. We'll move on to the next item. As you know, we switch up chair and vice chair at the end of the fiscal year. So it's time to move on to the next round. Per the guidance document, the chair for FY23 would be Ms. Smidler from Henrico, or whoever ends up being the person from Henrico, and the vice chair from Hanover County. So I believe we need a motion to elect those localities or those folks.
I'll
This is
move
Nora,
for
so
approval.
move. Sorry.
Was that Joe trying to?
Yeah, I was going to move for
Okay.
approval of the motion.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
I move for approval of the motion.
Okay. I don't know who got that first, if it was Nora or Joe, but.
I'll give it to Joe. He's excited.
All right.
to be our vice chair.
Thank you, Joe. Nora, do you want a second?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Second.
Okay. Motion from Mr. Vadunez and seconded by Ms. Amos. Do we need a roll call for this one, Chet?
Yes, please. Let's do that.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Janice, when you're ready.
All right, Ms. Amos,
Aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Goin,
Aye.
Mr. Vadunez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smidler,
Aye.
Chair LaDuke,
Aye.
Ms. Clark,
Aye.
Ms. Dubinsky,
Aye.
Ms. Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
and Ms. Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries.
All right. Thank you all. We'll move on to the next item, which is transportation agency updates. Tiffany, you're always up first, so go ahead.
I always appreciate it. So I have a very short update for June. Just kind of as a standing reminder, I know that Nicole will cover things such as our 6-year improvement program that's set to be approved hopefully this month at the June CTB meeting, as well as Smart Scale. So, thank you for the endorsements, and hopefully we'll be able to continue working with Ashland on their project in particular. Besides that, we are still convening our Transit Service Delivery and Advisory Committee. They just met actually on Friday to discuss some of the items that we are still working on related to our merit grant program. If you are interested in sitting in on those meetings, you can register to watch them online on our DRPT website, which I'll include in our agency update for the meeting minutes. Besides that, our transit equity and modernization study, we are on this home stretch to finalize our action plan. We are finishing our remaining meetings with our technical working groups. And the draft action plan is still available on our website, which is at vatransitmodernization.com. And actually, that's all I have for my updates. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. Any questions for Tiffany? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to GRTC. Ms. Robinson, did you have an update?
Hey, everyone. Yeah, I just have a quick update. We have gotten some increased interest regarding our ridership on our express routes and returning service to those routes. So I just want to make the group aware that we are monitoring it. Right now, the needs don't show any, the ridership and max loads don't show any need for increased service just yet. But as we expand our resources and start to make a shift to returning service, we'll definitely keep that in mind and keep that evaluated. Outside of that, I did want to make the group aware that next week is our board meeting. So June 21st, 8 a.m. at GRC headquarters. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Patricia? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on to Mr. O'Keefe, Ride Finders.
Madam Chair. Yeah, Ride Finders had a very active May. We did participate with the City of Richmond Public Schools on bike to walk events with safe routes to schools at Oak Grove, Bell Mead Elementary and Holton Elementary. We also hosted a bike to work event here at our Ride Finders office for Bike to Work Day. We were also in the community at the annual Creighton Resource Center anniversary celebration in the City of Richmond. We are starting to see interest in van pools, as I've reported the last few months, and we did have 5 new starts of van pools in May. We created a van pool focused digital advertising and radio spots, and some of you may have heard them on the radio or seen them on social media. We also worked with the Chesterfield Observer with their digital advertising, and they started the week of May 23rd. We have prepared marketing plans for 2 campaigns in June using the CEO of your commute theme, one focused on carpooling and the other is focused on van pooling. We've also promoted the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation's Bike Month messages on social media last month. We hosted the Ride Finders Advisory Board meeting on May 3rd, and we researched the 6-year improvement plan for the fiscal year 23 budget for the DRPT state aid recommendations. We continue to promote the CEO of Your Commute campaign by promoting the ride sharing and recording green commuting trips. And last but not least, we were also recognized with 2 awards from the Communitas. The first award is the Excellence in Community Service for our youth sustainability outreach programs and campaigns. And the second award is the Entitled Excellence in Corporate Social Responsibility in subcategories of ethical and environmental responsibilities and green initiatives. And that was for the recognition of It's a Green Thing campaign as well. So we did win 2 awards from Communitas, and I just wanted to let everybody know.
Okay, thank you, John. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Any questions for John from the group? Okay, thank you, sir. Moving on to VDOT. Nicole, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning. I'll share my
Morning.
screen so you have the update in front of you. At the May CTP meetings, the board received an update on the FY23 Urban and Arlington and Henrico Street maintenance payments. The approval of the maintenance payments to Henrico County should be on the CTP agenda next week. The board also received presentations on the Transportation Performance Management 2023 Safety Measure Targets and inflationary cost drivers for FY23. At their action meeting, the board approved the addition of projects to the 6-year improvement program for FY 22 through 27, which included replacement signs for the name change of the Jefferson Davis Highway, now named Route 1 in Chesterfield County. The next CTB workshop meeting is scheduled for June the 21st at 12:15. And the action meeting will take place on the same day next week, on Tuesday, immediately following the action meeting. Moving on to Smart Scale Round 5, pre-application screening is complete. The Richmond District had 106 applications. Only 2 were screened out, and most of them were screened in conditionally. We're now working with each applicant on application refinement for your final submissions. And you should all hear from your POC to set up a time to discuss pre-app findings and additional work needed for the full applications. You can direct any questions you may have to your POC or to our Smart Scale email. Final application period is open and is anticipated to close August 1st. There was a full application training that took place last week on June the 9th. If you were unable to attend on the 9th, the training was recorded and will be posted to the Smart Scale website. Don't have a lot to report on the 6-year improvement program, which is still underway. The draft SIP was presented to the CTB in April, and a final SIP is anticipated to be provided for CTB action next week. All new funding for the fiscal year 2023 is available on July 1st. Moving on to the fall line. We continue to work on developing the design build package for the northern section, and we anticipate advertisement by the end of 2022. The development of the design build package for the southern section should immediately follow, and we're still on track for advertisement by mid-year of 2023. The last Fall Line Trail Design Guide workshop, or the working group meeting rather, took place on May the 18th. The draft guidelines will be distributed to the group by the middle of June, so we anticipate that to go out any day now. Comments on that can then be submitted to Liz. The final draft of the design guidelines will be available by the end of June. And that's all I have on Fall Line. And last but not least, no public hearings scheduled in the TPO area. That's all I have, Kelly.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. Moving on to, there's a couple of future meeting topics on page 39. As always, let the staff know if there's anything else that you want added to that list. Is there anything anyone would like to say about that? Okay. TAC member comments. I'd just like to thank everyone for bearing with me over the past year of being chair. It's good practice. Any other comments from TAC members?
Thank you for serving as chair. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you.
No problem, guys. And good luck to the next group. If there's nothing else, our next meeting is scheduled for July 12th. I'm assuming still virtual for now. And
Yes.
if there's nothing else, okay, we'll adjourn at 10:02. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.